So what happened was in 2004, my dentist found some spots on my tongue. Then we finished grand rounds. I get a phone call from the main doctor, and you got to go through these tests to see. So it's MRIs, CAT scans. He's talking to me. He's like, so do you have nosebleeds? Yes. Do you know how many a month? And I'm like, I have no idea, because I want you to start counting. When I started counting after the phone call, I was like 60-something a month. I thought everyone, and this neurosurgeon is sitting here telling us, we found an aneurysm and it's sitting in the center of your brain. When it ruptures, it is catastrophic. And that was when I was like, this is serious. And I had to go to the emergency room. My brain was swelling. I lost my left side. When your brain shuts down, it shuts down. So I could be like in full conversation talking, and then I'd just fall asleep. I had people surrounding me. Yeah. My friends took me 3 times a day to physical therapy. I want people to know that life is precious, and God has put us here for a reason, and we need to live for Him.
Hey there, welcome to the Mental Perk Podcast. I'm Carla Hutcherson, licensed professional counselor.
And I'm Brandy Mock, entrepreneur, author, and community leader. And we're here to talk about
real people, real issues, and real talk.
Meet Bridgette King, wife of 30 years to Travis, mom of Lydia, Emily, and Ryan, mother-in-law to Noah, and honey to Joshua. As an assistant principal in a top-tier school district, Bridgette balances her passion for education and deep commitment to her family and faith. But Bridgette's story, her journey, took an unexpected turn in 2004 when she was diagnosed with HHT, a rare genetic disorder affecting blood vessel development. Then in 2017, a routine CT scan revealed something terrifying, an unruptured aneurysm sitting at the very center of her brain. Welcome to the show. We are so excited to have you and cannot wait to have you share your story with us, the whole journey. So walk us through just your life, like everything you've been through and where it's gotten you.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me. The one thing about my story that is so ironic is I didn't have a lot of symptoms. So what happened was in 2004, my dentist found some spots on my tongue, and my kids were all little, like tiny. So I was like, look, unless this is serious, I don't have time for this. And I remember my dentist going, but the spots keep coming. So like, we got to figure out what this is.
Okay. So he found, like, were they white spots?
No,
I know.
No,
like,
they're like little red spots. And I'll be honest, this shows my vanity here. He said, I think you're getting like that where you're going to have discoloration on your face and outside your, and I'm like, oh, we got to get that fixed. You know?
Yeah. I have time for that one.
We don't care about the inside, but the outside.
What else is going on, but I got that time for that.
Right. So I was like, okay, where do I need to go? And so,
I'll make time.
Right, I'll make time now. So I went to an oral surgeon in Rockwell, precious man, and it's the start of the internet, and he types in red spots on tongue, and he's like, hey, does anybody in your family have, embolism, aneurysm, strokes? I'm like, yeah, but like they didn't lead healthy lifestyles. Like they were drinkers and smokers and, heavy drinkers and heavy smokers, So I was like, yeah, but it all made sense. And he's like, well, just remember that in the back of your mind if, you ever come in contact with some health issues. And I'm like, okay.
So is this before you had the dental work or after you went to see the surgeon? The surgeon's asking you these questions.
A dental surgeon,
right?
Yeah.
So I went to the dentist, and the first time he's like, I see spots. 6 months later, he's like, okay, I see more spots. You need to go to this oral surgeon. And finally, I was like, when he said, okay, it's discoloring, it could discolor your face, then I was like, okay. So probably a year after he noticed the spots, I went to an oral surgeon that he recommended. And, at that time of my life, I had an OBGYN and a dentist.
Yeah.
I didn't need any. I mean,
what else do you need?
What else do you need?
Those are the two big deals.
I know, right? I'd call my OB when I was like, I think I have strep. Okay, come on in. No big deal. So anyway, the oral surgeon said that I had this, a possible HHT. And I'm like, I don't even know what that is. So what happened was I called my OBGYN. I said, hey, this is weird, but my dentist said that I had a rare vascular thing like HHT. And he goes, wait, what? And I said, yeah. And he goes, Bridgette, this is serious. And I go, well, how serious are we talking? Because I've got like 3 young kids, obviously you helped me birth them. So I mean like something. And he's like, no, you need to go get this checked. And what we did is I did the grand rounds at UT Southwestern.
Oh, wow.
And you just sit in a room and they go don't expand. Just answer the questions. And y'all, I could have been seeing the cafeteria worker. I have no idea who was coming in the room. You know,
Okay,
like,
so this help us understand what this is, because I know you
Grand
know.
rounds. I know, and
Yeah.
I've
So
been to grand
what
rounds.
does that mean
but-
to?
what I think it is doctors or maybe people going through med school come and they see you.
Okay.
It's both.
And there's
Okay.
there's
Yeah.
like different rooms and different people with different things, and they just come in and they go, well, they ask me, do you have nosebleeds? And I say, I do. How long have you had nosebleeds? My whole life. Oh, okay. Well, how often do you get them? Well, I've never counted them because it's my normal, right? Like my normal is I get nosebleeds. My grandmother had nosebleeds. My grandfather had nosebleeds. I think everyone does. And so they ask questions like, well, have you ever had a stroke? No. Have you ever had? No, I don't think so. And how was your deliveries of your children? And I'm like, oh, easy. I mean, like, I think the longest delivery was 5 hours from start to finish. And they're like, oh, okay.
That's crazy.
We're both looking at like, wait, what?
What is
And
this?
so it was, do you have any bleeding issues? No, other than my nosebleeds. Okay. So then we finished grand rounds. I get a phone call from the main doctor in charge of the grand rounds. And he's like, okay, out of the, 80-something doctors that are people who saw you, 70% think you have something called HHT, and then there's a small percentage that thinks you have something called CREST, and then there's even a smaller percentage that they just don't know, like they don't know what it is. And I was like, okay, what do I do with that?
When you're hearing HHT,
Yeah, I have
you
no
knew,
idea.
You didn't know,
No.
but you
You
knew
didn't
there's
wet-
a history in the family.
And you didn't Dr. Webbit
No,
MD
no,
kind of
I'm
thing?
not that person.
Okay, good.
Because I would be like, I'm dying,
I
I'm
tell
gonna
people
die.
not to
No.
do that
Yeah.
because there's so much misinformation.
Yeah.
And honestly, you guys, I don't know. I mean, I think, God creates us in such a unique way, right? And God created me to be like, look, until you know, don't go there.
Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
so when I hear HH, I'm like, I've never heard of it. I couldn't even pronounce hereditary
You were calling your
hemorrhagic.
gynecologist going, is this a venereal something we need to be working on?
I know, like, oh my gosh, And I was just like, I don't understand it, to be honest. And I'm healthy.
Yeah.
And that's why I kept telling myself, I had just run a marathon. I'm like in the, working out and feeling good in my life. And I'm like, I'm healthy. I don't know. Like, okay, so I got a couple red spots on tongue. Is it going to discolor my face?
Yeah, that's a huge thing. Yeah,
Right,
we can't have that
right,
going. But a lot of people have red spots on. Like I do sometimes have a spot here or there, but it's not.
God,
no one's
but
ever
hearing
called.
this, it's
I know
like
it's like,
you-
oh my
I know,
gosh,
it
I
makes
thought I
you-
just drank my coffee and it was too
It
hot
makes
or
you more
something.
hyper-vigilant. But then there's that fine line too, though, Bridgette, and I know we'll go more into it, but I'm stopping you just because I'm hearing this and I don't want to miss anything. At what point, though, when you're hearing this, is like, because I don't know about you, but I'd start doing the Google thing.
Yeah.
And then I'd become, I felt like, because it's like, you don't want people feeling like they're hypochondriac.
Yeah.
But then you want them also being aware.
Right. Well, at this point, I honestly think this is a mistake.
Okay.
Like, this is not happening. I think I'm in complete denial. Looking back, I'm probably in complete denial. As a matter of fact, so much so that when I called at that point in 2014, there were only 5 HHT centers in the United States. So I called the one in St. Louis because I grew up in St. Louis.
Okay.
But I do have to ask, even after you went to grand rounds at UT Southwestern and 70 of these doctors are saying, it still was like, I don't believe it.
Well, because there was also some that didn't know, and there were some that thought I had this crest. And I'm like, well, first of all, my first question was like, well, how do I get tested for all these to get it negative?
Yeah.
He's like, well, a blood test for crest, which is a horrible disease that I don't know a lot about, but I went and got the blood test and it said it was negative. And I go about the HHT and I go, well, that's a little bit more intense of finding out. And I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, well, you're going to need to go to an HHT center, and you're going to have to figure out, like, you got to go through these tests to see. So it's MRIs, CAT scans, it's echocardiograms. Like, there was an array of tests. It's not a simple blood test at that time. So I was like, oh, okay. So I called the center in St. Louis because I thought, well, we'll make a little vacation of it and go see family in St. Louis, And I remember the doctor calling me back, and I'm like, oh, I don't get doctor phone calls.
Yeah. You don't want a doctor phone call, right?
I literally had all the kids running around, and he's talking to me. He's like, so do you have nosebleeds? Yes. Do you know how many a month? And I'm like, I have no idea because I want you to start counting. When I started counting after the phone call, I was like 60-something a month. I thought everyone.
Are you serious?
I'm not kidding. And then when I was
Bridgette,
pregnant, it had increased. No, I thought everyone did.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you know, how many times when you're pregnant and you go into the doctor and you're like, I'm getting nosebleeds, they say, yes, that's very and when you look at pregnancy, yes, increased nosebleeds because
I didn't even know that because I never
had one.
And I just assumed everyone dealt with that.
And then if there's a history of nosebleeds in your
family
family
or something.
but
So
that many in a month.
Many.
Well, once you start counting, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's not okay. But anyway, he's talking to me, and I'll be honest, I'm a little, I don't want to say distant, but I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, and I'm a runner, and I work out. I don't smoke. At that point, I didn't even drink wine ever. Like I felt healthy.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay. He said, hey, I hear the confidence in your voice, and I understand that. He goes, but I also hear kids in the background. I said, yes. And I was like, oh, my pride moment. I go, yes, I have a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. He goes, okay, well, when one of them maybe drops dead on the football field in high school, maybe then you'll give me a call and take this seriously. And I'm like, I'm on the next flight.
I just got cold chills her saying that. Like,
no, for
he
real.
called you out.
He called me out. And I am so thankful for that
yes.
man. Because
Shout
I
out.
think that's what it took.
Yeah.
Is like, he goes, because this disease, hereditary hemorrhagic telangiectasia, hereditary, it does not skip generations. It is past 50 to 50. So one of your children probably have it. And that
got your attention.
That was when I said, I'm on the next plane to St. Louis. And I told Travis.
Did you figure out who in your family had it before you?
Okay, no, we haven't. And we still to this day haven't.
Okay.
We have, because my grandfather was born in 1903. So my grandparents were old when they had my mom.
Okay.
I mean, in their 40s, right?
Okay.
And so they weren't alive anymore. I have cousins and stuff, and I've reached out to them, but I'm not, it's just, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know which side. I'm pretty sure it's from my mom's side just because my grandfather lost his stomach due to, part of his stomach due to bleeding, and that's part of it. And then his mother died of tuberculosis, what they thought was tuberculosis, but that very well, looking back, the doctors like very well that could have been.
Yeah, because of the coughing of the blood and things like that.
Yeah.
So no, your kids are older now. Are we testing them?
Oh yeah, we tested them right. I got tested. They said, yes, you have HHT. They went in, did a pulmonary angiogram and coiled off my lung, parts of my lung where they saw bleeding. And they're like, how you made it through 3 pregnancies and children without having an embolism, all the things, is just a miracle.
It's probably a result of you being so healthy, though.
I hope so. Or I think God has a plan.
Yeah,
and that's
100%.
That's what 100%. I ended
100%.
with that. I was like, God has a plan. So I went in, did the pulmonary angiogram. They coiled off parts of my lungs, and then I sent my children to the hospital in St. Louis to all be tested. They will not diagnose it at that point. They would not diagnose it until they had an, AVM or something to the sort, and they hadn't. Ryan, my youngest, does have the nosebleeds. That's a little tougher for me to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's why you have the Kleenex.
That's why I have the Kleenex. So, after all that, I had a few episodes where, of course, my nosebleeds were affecting my iron. Because then I started paying attention, and I'm like, oh, maybe this is why I'm tired, because I'm low in iron. So we started getting cauterizations of my nose. I have a great ear, nose, and throat doctor at UT Southwestern. But my saving grace was I decided to get a concierge doctor.
Love them.
I would.
That is such a neat thing.
People don't understand.
People do not understand.
How very, they specialize in certain areas, and that is their focus.
Yes,
but they do things in their own terms.
That's correct.
And they have a very good network of other professionals that work with them closely.
That's correct. I mean, a great example of that is, and I think there's amazing doctors out there, but they have a lot of patience. I always think, I'm in education, I always think it's like being a teacher of, 35 to 40 students. That's so hard to individualize anything, right?
Right.
I can't imagine hundreds of patients a day.
Right.
So having that concierge doctor changed the course of I think, my treatment. And what that means is I don't take medication. I don't have treatments done with this. As a matter of fact, it's kind of opposite. Just stay healthy. Don't, take a lot of ibuprofens, or, when I would hurt myself working out, like anti-inflammatories are not my friend, but if we have to do it, we have to do it. Colonoscopies were huge even in my 40s, because that's just anywhere you have capillaries, which is your whole body, I had to be checked more regularly than the average person.
Wow.
But it wasn't anything that slowed my life down. It didn't define my daily living, if that makes sense.
So can you give us kind of a prognosis as someone who has HHT? What does that look like for them? If it's not caught, it can be...
Okay, so here's the crazy thing. It is so different in every single person. So for me, it was in my lungs. And they think that, if like strokes or whatever would happen from coming from my lungs, it can be in your liver and it can be in your brain. And you're like, well, you did have brain surgery, but we're still learning so much about HHT. And it is one of those things that even my HHT doctor specialist at UT Southwestern is like, gosh, I mean, I couldn't take, I told him, I said, gosh, I've been taking some, vitamins, and I'm like, that if I take too many, it creates nosebleeds. He goes, I've never heard that before, but I'm gonna write that down because that might help somebody else.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're almost like their research.
Yes, well, and I have joined a research, so I did do genetic testing, and it came back inconclusive at that time. Now I have a box sitting on my counter right now because we're gonna try it again. I had a sister that went through, because I had children, and she did not. She was older than I, and she loved my kids. I said, look, I need one more person in our family to get genetic tested. And so she did for my kids. And we couldn't find the gene. And we lost her almost a year to my brain surgery. After having my brain surgery, she died of a massive stroke to the brain.
Oh my goodness.
Bridgette.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it was, y'all, when I say God put us through this 7-year desert, like, it started with, but God provided through that whole thing. So God told me during a church leadership conference, you're going to go back into the classroom. I'm like, oh. And so I told my husband, I've been home for 17 years. I go, hey, babe, I'm going back into the classroom, but God's called me back in. He goes, oh, no, I have not heard that.
Travis. He's like,
Travis.
Not
talking to both of us
God
at the same
did not
time.
talk to me on that subject.
But then I think Travis got on board when
I can see Travis just being real life.
Lines of communication have been crossed.
Travis did get on board when Ryan, we were putting him into middle school, and we went to go hear the football coaches, and they're like, okay, your boy's got to get in the shower, and they've got to strip down and be ready to shower in 7th grade. So I come home. I said, hey, Rai, you're going into 7th grade. Dad and I went to the football meeting. You're going to have to strip down, but don't worry. I'm going to get you a little shower caddy with a towel with your name on it and matching flip-flops. And my husband looked at my son.
Like, no, you're not.
And my husband looked at me and he goes, do you want him to die? And I said, no. He goes, there's no shower caddy in 7th
This
grade.
is not our daughter.
And I said, exactly. So I said, I'm going back to work. And I think that's what, So I went back to work, and it was just a God thing, like last minute hire, and I'm teaching, 4th grade, and then the next year I taught 5th grade. And I had a really tough group in 5th grade.
Did you?
Oh my goodness.
5th grade is a hard age.
age.
It's a very hard age.
And I didn't have the tools. The kids, were kids. I just didn't have the tools to meet their needs. And so I'm reading everything there is to read about, like, how do I stop? Because we had such a diverse community where I taught, that I wanted kids to see the differences as positives, not as, I can't like them because they're different from me, right? So it was kind of a stressful year.
We need more of that, by the way.
I know we do. We do, right?
Today's episode is sponsored by Hudson Financial Group. At Hudson Financial Group, their goal is to make sure your life is fully covered. Do you truly understand your current insurance coverages? Are you protected for the things you need and not paying for the things you don't? Come by and let them help maximize and understand your coverage. With access to multiple carriers, they'll find the best protection at your best price for you. Whether it's home, auto, farm, and ranch commercial coverages, bonds, life insurance, or financial planning, Hudson Financial Group is your one-stop shop for insurance and retirement needs. Stop by today.
And so, just respecting each other. And so it was a stressful year. So in May of 2017, I'm outside, doing different activities with the kids because it wasn't field day, but we were having a
fun day out
outside. And, if you're in education, you lose one teacher during that. Like, kids are not monitored. Like, you can't leave. Like, and I go dark on one side. Like, I just totally go dark. And I'm like,
you lose vision?
Lose vision. And so I go to our school nurse and I go, hey, I've lost vision. Like, what's going on? And I call my concierge doctor and he's like, you need to go to the emergency room right now.
Yeah.
And I love him so much. But I also feel like, oh my gosh, I can't. Like, I'm a teacher. This is the busiest time. I don't
You're
have time
doing like the
to
bumps
go
on it.
You are bargaining.
Did he
You're
have to say something else to
all
you?
over the place.
She didn't learn the first time.
No, I didn't learn the first time.
Just keeps bargaining, trying to make this
I
go
know.
away.
So what do? I call my friend Holly Fisher-Britt. She is a optometrist, and I call her. I'm like, I need to come in and see you. I've lost vision on one eye. And she's like, come on in. She's like, okay, you've had an ocular migraine. You obviously are under stress. And I'm a processor, so stress doesn't hit me until I'm, I think, walking done, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what just happened?
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, I was like, okay, I have an ocular migraine, called my internal medicine. He goes, yeah, okay, I'm not saying it's not true, but I need you to go get an MRI. And I'm like, look, my oldest is graduating. She's leaving the nest.
Here we go again with that bargaining. Oh my gosh. You are in denial.
Listen, y'all, be praying for my internal medicine doctor. I think I'm quote unquote that student to him. And I'm like, I've got a kid graduating. I mean, she's never left home. What am I going to,
Yeah, it's emotional, the whole thing.
Emotional. And then I know. And so, May happens, graduation happens in June.
So you pushed it off then.
You didn't get the MRI then?
No. Oh, no.
You went dark on one side.
Yes, but it came back.
Okay,
she's like, God did it. He healed it.
I just need to make sure the audience do the opposite of everything she's doing.
I'm sure she'll throw that in there at the end.
He goes, do you want to go tell your story? I'm like,
that's going to be the closing statement. So how long was it dark, though?
Well, they said it would probably stay that way for, a couple of hours, maybe a day, and then it'll come back. And it was on a Friday, so by, Friday night, I was like, oh, here's my vision back. I'm good. Okay. So, and remember, I can't take certain medicines, right? So it's not like they can
take something for your headache or anything like that.
We had to kind of get a little creative with that. So I'm like 1 Benadryl and 1 Zofran and 2 extra strength Tylenol. Like, that's how we tried to medicate myself. I did listen to my internal medicine doctor about that, so I didn't just try and guess what I was taking. I had a wonderful person helping me.
You had medical support,
right? Yeah. I had medical support there. So anyway, it came back, and he goes, "But I still need you to do this." I said, "Okay." So we got through like mid-June, end of June, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to call to get that CT scan at UT Southwestern." And I'm going to do it right before. I did it the day before I left to take our family on a family trip for her graduation, right? We're going to Cabo. So I did the scan. Bye-bye. I left the next day. We went to Cabo. Next thing I know, on my phone, there is this message. Hi, Mrs. King. This is neurosurgery, whatever, UT Southwestern, and we'd like to make an appointment for the aneurysm we found. And I'm like... I thought aneurysm was a verb. Like, I thought it was something that happened to you.
Yeah.
It's actually a noun. It's something that sits, right? Yes. There's my teacher coming out of me. But it's a noun. It's something that's in there. And I'm like, what is an aneurysm? I thought an aneurysm was bad.
Yeah, like it's instant.
Now, I did Google
audience,
that.
Yes, it is bad.
It is bad. That is bad. And so I did Google that. And then I called my internal medicine doctor. And he's like, you're in Cabo. I need you just to
hang tight.
Hang tight. There's nothing you can do right now. In the next 48 hours, there's nothing you can do.
But don't be stressed.
But don't be stressed.
Yes, do
Just
not get stressed.
enjoy your family. Yes. Enjoy this time, Bridgette. He goes, I'm not worried. I think deep down he was, but I think he knows. He's been my doctor for 20-something years. He knows me, right? Yes. So he's like, I think, just enjoy this time. We'll deal with this when you get back. Okay. So
but were you thinking, though, because I'd have been thinking, like, elevations and stuff. Were the elevations not affecting anything?
No, I didn't. Girl, I didn't even think.
You're like, you're good. Were you worried at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I
were
was.
Just
because the
aneurysm,
that is a scary term.
But you kind of compartmentalized it. You're
I did.
And it's also very dangerous.
I can't do anything about it, and I'm here with my kids,
yep.
and I need to.
Yep. I need to be present here.
Yes.
I mean, if this journey has taught me anything, even from 2004 of the initial diagnosis of HHT, is be in the here and now. Like the amount, which is sometimes hard for me because I'm all over the place. I mean, just like on the way here, I had to send an email to my staff. I'm texting so-and-so about our thing that we're doing on Monday. I'm all over the place, right? But it's so important to be in the here and now. So anyway, I get back and I have, now school's getting ready to start. I'm decorating my classroom and I'm like trying to get things together. But I make this appointment to go see this neurosurgeon at UT Southwestern. And I told my daughter, Emily was going to now be a junior. And I say, hey, let's go get like some clothes. We'll do a shopping day. And so she's like, okay. So I go, come with me to the doctor. We'll kind of have that little bit. And then we'll go lunch and shop. So we're sitting there in the waiting room. And y'all, I'm looking around this waiting room and I see people in walkers and wheelchairs. And with caregivers with them. And I'm looking around and I'm like, Lord, heal these people. Like these people are like they need healing. And Lord, calm my spirit right now because I'm really now starting to feel scared.
It was, the reality was setting in.
Reality. As I'm looking around this room of all these people. And the next thing you know, y'all, my husband comes walking through that door.
Oh.
And he's like, God laid it on his heart to come to this appointment.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God. Right? Because when we get pulled into that appointment and this neurosurgeon is sitting here telling us, we found an aneurysm and it's sitting in the center of your brain. When it ruptures, it is catastrophic because where it sits, it will go to both sides of your brain. So there's this, and if you're medical, I don't know, but there's like this main artery and then it kind of splits off. It's like a Y. And it was right at that Y that I had that aneurysm. And they go, when it ruptures, it will be catastrophic. And I'm 46.
Now, is your daughter in there with you?
No, she stayed out in the waiting room.
Yeah.
Thank God. But she
Travis
probably would have been otherwise, right?
Yeah. Had Travis not come in, she probably would have been.
Yes. And I remember the doctors talking about this catastrophic if ruptures, brain surgery, craniotomy.
Was it just like Charlie Brown, like you just could hear a muffled sound?
Yes.
I mean, it was like you're taking in all this information, but not sure how to process it.
As a matter of fact, I remember the doctor sitting across from Travis and I look at Travis. I think the doctor was still talking. And I go, is he still talking to us?
Oh, yeah.
And Travis is focused on the doctor and he turns to me and I see his face. My husband is literally God is our foundation, but my husband's supports. Not much rattles him.
Yeah.
But I just saw it.
Yeah.
And that was when I was like, this is serious. So we prayed after the appointment, and I'm like, what do I do? And my husband's like, call Dr. Frater. That's my internal medicine doctor. Call Dr. Frater. So I call him. I'm hysterical. And I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, Bridgette, we're going to get a second opinion. We're going to get a second opinion. Let me think through this. Okay. So in the process, I go back. I'm going to school the next day. I'm decorating my classroom.
I'm sitting here listening to you, and I don't even know how she's.
If you think about it, if you would listen to her, what she's been telling us, what she does, she pushes it away.
Yeah, I do.
She pushes it away
she
because
compartmentalizes it.
She keeps marching, and that's how she deals.
That's how I deal.
If she didn't do that, you would have fallen apart.
But no, I know. I'm hearing that though,
right?
Because God pulls out this strength in us we don't even know. Your strength, whether you're pulling it through your children, being a mom fighting to live for your kids, for your husband, for all of that. But I'm thinking in your head as you're leaving that appointment, and you're still giving it to God. I don't know. I'm not even calm hearing her say it. Like it's stressing me out thinking, An aneurysm can go at any minute. So
I know.
I'm thinking, are you?
Yeah. And I did ask him.
Are you laying in bed at night going, what if I don't wake up in the morning?
Not at that point. He did say in the appointment, because I'm like, do I need to quit exercising? He goes, no, because you could be asleep or you could be working out. Like these things. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, this can just happen?
Yeah.
Like, but I just started praying, Lord, just hold me. And hold me in your hand and don't let go. And I will tell you, when I was first diagnosed with HHT, y'all, I sat. It's like a visual that I have. I remember a friend teaching me how to get on my knees and pray. And it was like I could hold Jesus' feet. It was like I envisioned holding onto his feet. During this, I envisioned holding onto his waist and him holding on to me. And all I could hear, I got you. I got you. Trust me. I got you. It wasn't anything fancy. It wasn't anything full of eloquence or anything. It was just, I got you. And I was like, okay.
But those 3 words,
he meets
us.
He
so
meets
much
us
power,
in our language.
right?
He meets us in our own
spot.
So we understand it, right?
We understand it.
So how quickly, once you got this, did they do this surgery? Because it should have been days, right?
Well,
you did not push it off.
Bridgette,
you did.
What's your middle name? What is your middle name?
Exactly. Well, here's what happened. I was in my office. I was in my room decorating, and the neurosurgery department from UT Southwestern called me, and they called to schedule the appointment. I said, hey, before you do this, what is the recovery rate? And they said, okay, well, you'll have your surgery, and then you're in intensive care anywhere from 7 to 14 days, and then after that, we move you to another, part, and you're there another 7 to 14 days, and then we move you to a facility. And I was like, brakes. What do you mean facility? What is a facility? What are you talking? Well, you would have to learn maybe how to
cognitive
do
skills
things.
again, depending on what happens.
We don't know what you'll lose. So when I say I'm hysterical, like cannot breathe, I'm calling my doctor who I trust. I'm like, they're saying facility. I'm just hysterical. And that man is like, Bridgette, deep breath. We have prayed about this. It's going to be okay, but I need you to go for a second opinion. I said, okay. He goes, I've sent all your scans. I'm going to send them all to Mayo Clinic. He's got a connection at Mayo Clinic. And I said, okay.
Great second opinion.
Yeah.
So he sent all my scans there. And within a week, we get the results back saying, hey, the doctor's like, he says full craniotomy is needed. You're 46 and you need a full craniotomy. I'm like, what do I do? And he's like, you need to go to the Mayo Clinic and meet him to make sure you know which doctor you want to use. Because the UT Southwestern doctor was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I didn't have any.
You can't go wrong.
No, it's just he wanted someone else to tell.
Yes,
I mean, that's smart too, though.
Yes,
but then time's not on your side.
Right. So in October, we flew to, because by then all this was in October, we flew to Minnesota, Travis and I did. Beautiful area, by the way. And met this wonderful doctor. I come walking in, hi, I'm Bridgette. Nice to meet you. And he's like, hold on. I don't know what this is. Like, I know I saw those scans and you need this surgery, but you're fine. I go, I know, that's what I keep telling. And I'm like, oh my God, finally somebody who's hearing me. I know I'm fine. Like, I exercise, I'm fine. He goes, no, I don't think you understand. The lady who flew in from Hong Kong next door, if I don't do her surgery, she will die. If I do your surgery, I might fix the aneurysm, but you may never be the same. And I'm like, what? He goes, I need to put this on hold. We're sitting in the airport, and I'm kind of mad. I'm like, seriously, he's not going to do the surgery? Like, he doesn't. What does this mean?
He didn't even want to meet with you, evaluate.
Oh no, he met with me.
Okay.
Oh, he met with me.
And but he saw your lack of urgency because you're all chippery. You're all like,
yeah. He's like, you're
and then
happy.
This
you
lady
have no
next
symptoms.
door
Yeah,
was
I had
not
no
doing
symptoms.
so hot.
Yeah.
Well, and that if that's not a teaching moment.
But I thought with the aneurysm, you may not always see symptoms, and it could still burst.
Well, but for him, he said it may or may not bust. Like, it may or may not break.
But that's still not good odds.
But he could do the surgery, fix it, and then brain surgery is a tough thing, and you could have, you may not come out of that.
Especially the older you are. And
right.
So you have not had the aneurysm fixed?
Oh, well, no. So we have. So
skirt.
Hold on.
Put on the screechers.
So Travis and I are sitting in the airport, and we're silent. And y'all, I swear this happened. This these people were on a business trip, and they're like, oh my God, I haven't seen you. Like, she was on one coast, he was on the other coast, and they're standing about from me to you. And she goes, oh my God, did you hear about a coworker, I can't remember his name, in California, he just stood up and died of an aneurysm just like that.
No, that did not happen.
Yes, it did. In the Minnesota airport. And Travis and I looked at each other, and I go, oh my gosh. I said, Lord, I hear you. Like, and the guy's like, yeah, I mean, a couple of kids at home. Like, how sad is that? And I mean, around my age, like, and I was
talk about
like,
God putting people in the right place at the right time to get your attention.
100%. So
I've got cold, this whole thing's been
I
cold
know.
chills for
I'm
me.
just like,
for real.
yeah,
so
100%.
then I get a phone call. So now the doctor's like, let me send your scans and make sure you need this surgery. So he sends them, John Hopkins, and I oversee everywhere. Every surgeon that he knew, I think he sent it to. I'm probably exaggerating, but anyway, Dr. Meyer called me at school, at dismissal, in the office. So, like, not a personal phone call. It was, like, on the school phone. And he's like, I am so sorry. I thought this was your personal line. I'm so sorry. I said, no, it's okay. Dismissal at school is kind of busy at an elementary school. So I'm, like, on the phone. And I'm like, get down off that chair, trying to listen to this neurosurgeon. He's like, hey, listen, I've sent your scans, and you need surgery. I said, okay. Are you going to do it? And he said, I will. I will do it.
Is this the doctor in Minnesota?
This is the doctor in Minnesota.
Okay.
And I said, okay, well, here's the deal. It's October.
Do not tell me. Do not tell me.
She does. I guarantee you she did.
Halloween decorations.
I did. I said, school's out in May. So, and plus it's Minnesota. So
you waited till May?
No.
Okay.
So
I was about to say.
I said, I'll call you and we'll probably schedule it in May. And he goes,
you're killing me.
He goes, okay, Miss King, I don't think you saw your husband's face when we were having our consult. He goes, I have a feeling you'll call me before May, but May's fine. I go, because I asked him, is it urgent? Like, is it? He goes, I mean, not really.
Can't tell.
He
tell.
doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right? He can't say yes or no. So anyway, I come home and I tell Travis, Dr. Meyer called and he said, da-da-da-da. He said, it's not urgent, so I'm going to wait till May. And he's like, okay. And that's what we're doing. We're waiting till May. And Travis doesn't say a word. My husband does not say a word. And I go through October and probably mid-October, November, God stops talking to me. I'm like, what the heck? I need you of all times. Where's the, oh, I got you. Where's the, oh, don't worry. Oh, I got you. I won't let go. Where's all that? I need that. I need that, Lord. And so I'm having those conversations with him. And y'all, godly girlfriend, I was dropping off something because I was, I don't know, on the cheer board, which was a different story. I was dropping off something, and I remember her saying, hey, what did that surgeon ever say? And I said, well, he said I needed the surgery. And I'm going to wait till May when school's out. And she goes, what does the spiritual leader of your house say? And I sat there for a minute, and I kind of cocked my head. And honestly, my first thought was, who cares? This is about me.
Yeah.
I might have to go through rehab.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't about, what somebody else thinks I should do. I love my husband, but, like, my life could forever change. And I want to be in this moment right now, and I want to decide when I have this. I want to be in control of this moment. But, boy, I kept hearing her voice. And one morning, God was so loud, and he's like, talk to Travis. And I was like, okay. Travis is in there shaving. I go, hey, babe, you're good with us going in May, right? And he puts down his razor, and he turns around, and he said, no, I'm not. I'm not good.
Oh, wow.
He goes, if I die tomorrow of an aneurysm that nobody knew about, that's super sad and super tragic. He goes, if you die, he goes, I don't know that I would ever be able to, like, look back on that and go, if there was a chance.
Oh, yeah.
We could have saved
We could have saved her.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, I'll call. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm calling the world's greatest brain surgeon.
Yeah.
Chances are it's going to be May anyway. But I give him a call. First, it was Thanksgiving.
But the fact that he predicted that, he said, did you see your husband's face?
Yeah.
And
I
you
know.
were ignoring that.
Totally
See, he predicted.
Yes.
That's so funny.
And I was like, well, of course my husband's face, because this is a lot,
Yeah.
And so Thanksgiving rolls around, like it's that week, and Lydia's back from college, and we're sitting with the whole family. I go, hey, kids, by the way, Dad and I have talked. I'm going to go ahead and call the brain surgeon and set the appointment. And y'all,
they were relieved.
Lost it. My happy-go-lucky daughter in college was dealing with depression that I didn't know about, fully understand it. A lot was on their mind.
Of course it was.
A lot was on their mind. They were very fearful. And and God, in a sweet, gentle way, was like, you're so selfish, right? It's not about you. It's bigger than that, right? But at the same time, not one friend would have said you're being selfish.
No,
right?
The selfishness is completely understandable in this moment. I don't even know that I'd call it selfish. I think it's just, I want to go back to denial. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well, and then just the whole thing of you've heard from other people, just enjoy the moment, the moment.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, I mean, it's a struggle. Like
it is.
Priority versus,
because you're not just thinking about your life, you're thinking about 4 other lives.
Yes, right?
Yes, 100%.
Right. So anyway, I call, Mayo Clinic. I'm like, okay, I'd like to schedule an appointment. He goes, well, Miss King, believe it or not, there has been a cancellation, which I hope they're fine. I'm just saying, in Dr. Meyer's schedule, and it was the 21st of December. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's in a few weeks.
She's thinking Christmas. I know you.
Y'all, Christmas is my thing.
Yeah.
Like, I am an elf on crack. I love everything about I love everything about I don't know, is that appropriate? You might need to cut that out.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally appropriate.
But I love Christmas. I love decorating. I mean, it makes me so happy. And that year, I decided
Christmas is early.
I decided, Lord, for you, I'm gonna give up something, and it's the decorating.
Okay.
It is. You gave it up.
I did, because I was gonna pray every time I got sad about, like, where's my tree? Where's my this? Where's my? I was like, Lord, I'm gonna pray about it, And my kids went out to the dollar store and got a blow up tree that year because they go like, we've never not had a tree.
Oh.
And that year, my kids didn't ask for one thing for Christmas. They said, let's just go to Mayo Clinic. Our gift will be you coming home. Trying to plan that trip of, how do you plan a return date?
Yeah.
Do I come home with them? Do I not? We had mentors, Dale and Francis Stroop, that have been our mentors since early marriage. Francis was very, you need to do kind of like a GoFundMe, and Travis was like, because at that time Travis was, we were having we had our own company. He had his own business, and we were barely paying the single mom that worked for us, And so, of course, as a teacher, you don't get a whole lot. And I only had been in the classroom for 3 years, so I didn't have a lot of days saved up. So we're like, okay, let's do the GoFundMe. Let's see what it is. And y'all, my husband led Promise Makers for years. And I mean, boys in college, $5, $10, that meant the world. And then, of course, we had other people donate. And it paid for our entire, because we had to get a house there in Minnesota. Yes. We didn't know for how long, so it was, all very unknown.
But that's what GoFundMe is for. That is what it's set up. And
yeah.
I know it's been misused in other ways,
yes.
and they're really tightening, but that is what it's for. It's for families like yours.
I think sometimes for people, it's hard to accept.
Because we were the ones that always gave.
Yes.
And
exactly.
then
you're not ready to receive.
No.
And it's a different feeling.
And God shared with us our pride on that and broke that pride of, hey, thank you for giving to others all these years, but it's your turn.
Yeah, yes. Don't deny someone else
their
spiritual gift,
and
right?
that is what Francis told us. Don't you take that from somebody else.
That's right.
And I'm like so thankful for the mentors in our life and the people who loved us. So we've and what was crazy is I go nuts. I'm like, I got to get my dental work done, like cleaning for the year. I got to go do my mammogram and all this stuff because I don't know how
long. What if you're not able to do it for 6 months or a year? Yeah.
So I'm trying to quickly get all this stuff shoved into this little amount of time. And I'll never forget, it was the 19th of December. We were leaving on the 20th of December. I think I got that right. Anyway, it was a Monday, and that was my day to run all the errands. My son, Ryan, was with me, and we're in the car. And y'all, the mammogram people called me like, well, we need you to come back. We found something. I'm like, you're lying. I go, I don't have time. I need to come today. Well, ma'am, we don't have, I go, no, I'm getting brain surgery in 2 days. Like, I need it done today. And like, no. So.
Oh, Bridget.
No, I'm like, when I tell you, I'm like screaming in the car, like screaming, like, Lord, and my son was struggling. And I'm like, if there's one more thing, I don't know. So I called my doctor again. If he doesn't drink, he should. But I called him again in the Target parking lot. I go, my mammogram came back. He goes, Bridgette, I'm gonna send it to my friend. I'm sure everything is fine. I don't know if he did or not. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It calmed me. For whatever reason, it calmed me. And I said, okay. And he goes, no. He said, it's fine. It's just the density. It's fine.
Yes.
Which it was. But anyway, we hop on that plane. We go. We have the surgery. Mayo Clinic was phenomenal. I remember waking up, knowing who everybody was. I think I had a little bit of confusion. They don't do a lot of medication, so they gave me essential oils. Yeah, to see how you naturally
come out of it. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah. Essential oils just to.
Yep.
That's
awesome.
Yep.
That is so.
Because I was feeling it's like you've had a lot to drink and you're spinning.
Yeah.
And I'm spinning. I'm spinning, and so they give me I remember smelling peppermint. I just the sense of just.
But they're also being cautious of your HHT, right?
That's true. They have to. Yeah. So anyway, I remember the doctor coming in. It was Christmas Eve. Actually, 2 days before that, he came in, and I was talking to his intern. I'm like, I want to go walk the stairs. I don't know why I said that. And he's like, oh, Miss King, I don't know. And the doctor came in and goes, she wants to walk the stairs. So we went walking, and I it was 4 or 5 stairs, and I'd walk up and down. I'd walk around the hallway. And then Christmas Eve, he came in, which his intern was in there earlier. And I go, is Dr. Meyer coming in? He goes, oh, Miss King, no, he's got a lot of kids, and it's Christmas Eve. And next thing you know, there's Dr. Meyer, and it's Sunday. And Dr. Meyer comes around the corner. He goes, well, I'm wrong again. Here's Dr. Meyer. And he said, I didn't want to do the surgery. You know that. And I said, I do. And he goes, but I'm going to tell you that back of that aneurysm was really thin. And
it could have exploded at any moment. I don't know if that's the right word.
Yeah. He goes, and so I'm so thankful that we did that surgery. And I said, okay, I am too. I am too. And
I'm glad to be here.
Aren't we all? And I remember, just that time in the hospital, and just wanting to go and be physical, like go out and walk and do things. And then we went to the house, and y'all, it's cold in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Like, I remember my tears kind of freezing
up.
Yeah. It was a lot. It was very, very cold. And my sister and my mom were there with us. And then, the weather was going to get bad, so we decided to fly home Christmas Eve. Or no, I'm sorry, like probably the 30th or 31st, somewhere around 28th, whatever. Around that time, we flew back to Dallas because the weather was going to get even worse. And they said, yeah, you can fly. And I remember being wheeled, and my head was bandaged. And I'll never forget, going through security. I'm in a wheelchair. They're pushing me through the security, right? And Travis was like, they're asking me questions. I don't know the answers. I had brain surgery. I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And who knows where I'm telling them? I could have been like Florida. I don't know.
Yeah.
And Travis is like, wait. And they're getting kind of frustrated with him because he's like, no, you got to go through this line of security. He's like, do not leave my wife. Like, she just had brain surgery. Like, I kind of, remember all that and just not knowing, like, what's happening with that. And get on the plane, and I remember the pressure of the plane being a lot for me. Landing, we had friends line my yard with signs. And when we flew out, our neighborhood was lined with people in the rain.
It's a great neighborhood.
It was.
And I think I remember that video.
Oh, yeah.
You need to share that with us so we can.
Oh, maybe they're running. Oh my God. Oh my God. another round.
Going back to how much community support
Yes.
is so necessary
Yeah.
to
So necessary.
good healing. I mean,
It's
really,
so
you have
necessary.
to show up for each other.
Yeah.
You have to.
Well, let me tell you how much our community helped, because when I landed, like, one, we had dinners, right? And we had the encouragement out in our yard of signs of welcome back and we love you and you got this recovery. Well, I had a little snag about day 4 or 5 of being home, and I had to go to the emergency room, and it was my brain was swelling.
Oh gosh.
And so I lost my left side. I was like, I'm feeling weak on this side. I started feeling it. And I did take that seriously. So we went immediately.
Yay, Bridget.
Why though? Why? Because she couldn't feel anything.
Yeah. And I was like,
She was worried about her face.
Yeah. I know, right? So we went to the emergency room, and I'll never forget. You know when they say, okay, put both hands out, close your eye, and you have both hands out, and my left hand dropped, and I opened my eye and I looked down. I'm like, and I mean, it was like people swarmed around me, and I called my internal medicine doctor. He met us there, and he goes, "Here's what's
God love this man.
I know.
for real, right?
Seriously.
For real." And he said,
I
"Here's
hope you
what's-"
made him a gift basket when it's all
You know,
over.
not enough. For sure, not enough.
He's like, he'll be chiming in. No, she didn't.
No, she didn't. No, she didn't. I know. I adore him. But so we get to the hospital, and he tells Travis, he's like, "Here's what's going to happen. She just had brain surgery. She didn't even have a neurologist here in Dallas.
Yeah.
I have no doctor, neurologist, or neurosurgeon here in
The
Dallas.
guy knows not going to work on this, but
And
yeah.
he goes, so you're in the emergency room. They're going to call a neurologist down, and they're going to recommend she goes to a facility. I'm going to recommend that she does not. You need to take her home." And Travis goes, "Okay." He goes, because I think they knew what that would do to me.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Not that people who go don't need it.
No, but it was just the way.
But I had so much community
Yeah.
support. My friends took me 3 times a day to physical therapy.
Yeah.
So I could at least be home, go to physical therapy, come home, go to physical therapy.
Yes.
So I had people surrounding me,
Yeah.
my family, my friends, my life group. I mean, it was so crazy. I had people come and sit with me. And when your brain, it's kind of funny now looking back, but my mom would tell the doctor, well, now she's going to overdo it. And he goes, you don't understand. When your brain shuts down, it shuts down. So I could be like in full conversation talking, and then I'd just fall asleep. Like that's because my brain's like, you're done. Driving in the car, my brain trying to figure out, like I could see the tree limbs and the light coming through and all, like my brain was trying to figure all of that out. And it was so much that I would just be like, go to sleep.
Wow.
Like it was, yeah.
Well, you actually had to listen to your brain for
Yeah. I had to like
For the first time.
Yeah, for the first time, just go, okay.
If only she would have done that
Yes.
before.
Yes. And just the people that surrounded me. I remember my principal, I'm like, okay, so, after Thanksgiving, I told him, I'm like, so I'm going to go get brain surgery, but don't worry, I'm only going to miss that Christmas break. I'll be back in January. And you know what she said to me? Okay, honey, that's great. Okay, that's awesome. She was on the side calling a sub. Going,
Yeah.
she's not going to be back.
Yeah.
She's not going to be back. But she was so supportive. But that's the people, they knew me. They knew I needed that positivity
Yeah.
because that's how I roll, Not to say I don't look and go, that's bad or that's, there are times where it is bad.
Sure.
It is bad. And you need to face that. And it just is what it is and, truck through it. But there's always going to be maybe something good in that. And what is that good? And I've got to have people in my life that give me that piece of goodness.
100%.
And I think that's why my doctor was so successful with me.
He knew.
He knew.
Could read. He knew what was going to get you going, what was going to calm you down. And I do remember all of that support. It was like a parade going down the street.
It was a parade.
It was
literally
parade.
was
People
a
were
parade.
sticking out signs.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
It was
crazy.
cold and rainy. Just
It
to
was,
let you know.
it was a nasty day. I do remember that video.
Day. It was a nasty day. And, honking horns and just all the things as I was leaving for the surgery. So coming home and losing my left side just trying to read again and focus and I don't mean comprehension read, but like staying on the lines, you know, like writing again. Like those were things I was like, oh, that's not good. And Travis would take me because I had to learn, I was on disability, right? So I wasn't supposed to be at the school, but I came as a quote unquote volunteer, and my students that were my, kiddos that were harder, they sat with me and read, and they would turn the lights down in the classroom, and I sat in the classroom, and we would read together.
Kudos to your kids,
I know.
your students.
No,
Wow.
but
Kids are like that. They just see things.
Well,
a
to be
different
able to
way.
give to someone that gives to you,
Yeah.
that's like a treat
Yeah.
for them.
It was so humbling and wonderful and sweet. And I had a principal that's like, I want to sit in on this meeting, and she's like, okay. And that was before Zoom, and she would call me and go, okay, Miss King is on the phone, or on the phone. She wants to hear. Do I remember those meetings? No, I don't. But I felt like I had something to do. Does that make sense?
For sure.
And that was part of my therapy, I feel. Whereas if I would have been in a facility, I'm not sure that I would have had that. I'm not sure that I would have had the visitors come all the time and just sit on the couch. I remember one of my friends, Tammy, would come and just sit and talk to me, and I'd fall asleep, and I'd wake up, and I'd go, oh, Tammy's gone. And I was, well, that was hours ago.
Tammy's like, you're the best sober drunk I've ever met.
and I had this lean to me, too. I would have this lean. I'm like, no, I'm coming back to work in 2 weeks. And Tammy would go like, oh. She'd lean with me, and she'd go, okay. She knew, too. She's not coming back in 2 weeks. But I ended up going back to school in March, because little by little, Travis would take me to the school. I had to get used to the lights, the sound, all of that. And then, spring break happened, and then I went back to teaching. But it was like I would teach. I would come home. My principal was like, you don't have to stay for any meetings. I'd come home, and I would sleep from like 3 o'clock all the way to the next day. I'd get up.
Just
I'd
wear
do those.
You out, didn't it?
It wore me out. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, slept. And I remember in April, the first time that I could go out to dinner with my husband. I could not only do my job, but I could have a date night.
Yes.
I remember that time of going,
amazing.
Hey, we can go out, So it was a journey. It was a crazy journey. I think God taught me a lot about, submitting. I think in this world, submission means yes, sir, whatever you say, but submission is more about don't be selfish. Listen to what your husband, who is praying for you, is wanting and asking from you, not just what I want, because it's not just about me. It taught me a lot about slowing down. I'm in a field where it's majority women, and I look at sometimes, the unhappiness of women. I'm like, why? Why do you allow this to make you so unhappy?
Yes.
Find that joy.
100%.
Like art is teaching hard. Yes. Find the joy in it.
But through your go ahead.
It's
Through
such a life lesson,
Yeah.
though, really, because I think we start to focus on things that aren't going right, and that
Right.
seems to be our primary focus.
Right.
But we have to realize we only have one life to live.
Yeah.
We do.
Why do you want to live it on the negative
Right.
side?
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
So God continues to work through you, though, Bridgette, because I hear you talking about your journey of God trying to tell you, do this, and you're like, oh, nope, and then God going, okay, your face could be screwed up.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But you know how he does those
Yeah.
little things. And then
Yeah.
even the people at the airport. He
I
put those
know.
people right in front of you at the
Right.
airport. To your doctor, kudos to your doctor.
He
Shout out
really
to
does
this
deserve a
doctor.
shower caddy and a towel.
What
I'm
is
just
he does.
saying.
He does.
Can you share your doctor's name?
Yes, it's Dirk Frater, and he's with eBarrow Medical.
Where's he out of?
Very nice.
He's out of Presby.
Okay.
He was an emergency
Amazing.
In
room doctor
Dallas
for a
or
long
where?
time. In Dallas.
Okay, so shout out to you because I love this.
Yeah.
100%.
But to him telling you, did you see, or whoever saying, did you see your husband's face?
Yeah.
To your
Yeah.
kids
Yeah.
helping you read again. To
I know.
your
I know.
friends and your loved ones. And the fact that a lot of times we go with this whole, like, what does medical teach you? What does learning in the hospital teach you? But these doctors kind of stepped out and said, no, what does she need?
What's so neat about
Yes.
this, sometimes
Yes.
doctors get bad rap for not
They
having
do,
the
but
good bedside
man.
manner. But to see how important it is to connect with your patients,
Yeah.
to really make
Right.
that connection, that's being a good doctor.
That is.
It's not
That
just about the
is.
tests you order or all these different
Right.
procedures. It's
Right.
about that connection because medical stuff is scary.
Yes. And there's so many unknowns in medical. Like
Yeah.
before this whole thing happened, even in 2004, I'm like, a doctor says this, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Right? Nowadays, I don't know if you know, but sometimes doctors are like, well, what is it that you want? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about my doctor and the doctors that I choose to go to is they are the ones that are like listening to who I am. It's like, you know, a teacher that's really listening to what it is that you need, not what's good for the masses. You know,
100%.
because maybe for the masses, maybe something would have been different for somebody else. Like I did join a support group of women that were getting brain surgery. I was one of 3, and one passed away, did not make it through. The other one was in a home for months. And I thought to myself, Lord, why me? And, you know, I think the hardest part about this, and even now, you know, having those conversations with my husband, look, you have 3 days of me being on a life support. Like, let me go. Like, I wasn't afraid. Like, through this whole brain surgery thing, the fear wasn't of dying, because I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
The fear is living, but not, being alive, but not living.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, I don't want to be in a home drooling, having my diapers changed, having to be fed. Like, when my sister had her massive stroke, the doctors were like, well, you know, she'll be able to speak. And I go, speak or have a conversation?
Yeah.
This is an active woman.
Yeah.
Will she be able to have a conversation, know what we're saying, and be a part of life? And they go, no, that will never happen. Her stroke hit the 4 quadrants of her brain. She will not. I said, then this is not living. You know, but she was my person. That's why she came to Mayo Clinic, because I said, just in case Travis loses it and says, yes, by all means, let's keep her on and do life support and all the things. Not that
She
life
would have
support is
let you
bad.
go.
She would have been the one, Travis, this is not what she wants.
And so the roles were reversed.
The roles ended up being reversed. 11 months later, my sister had a massive stroke to the brain. And I'll never forget, we bring my mother, her daughter, okay? We bring my mother home. She just had a mastectomy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm bringing her home to change her out of her clothes to put in her jammies because she just left the hospital. And I go downstairs, and I'm kind of, you know, irritated with my brother because I'm like, all you gotta do is bring up her medicine. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, you go back to that 12-year-old.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
what's he doing?
It doesn't change.
No, and
Yeah.
I run downstairs, and my brother is sitting at the table, and my brother's like the most godly man. He's just sitting at the table on the phone, and he's like, okay, yeah, I think do the surgery. And I look at him, I go, what's wrong? And he goes, Lisa's had a massive stroke. And I go, what? And he goes, and they're wanting to do a surgery. I go, no, don't do the surgery. Don't do the surgery. And my brother looks at me, and he says, do the surgery, which I get. I would have, I mean,
You're
if I
desperate
would have
to do
give her a
anything you can
chance.
for your loved
yes,
ones.
Give
Yeah.
her a
so
chance.
yes, and I love my brother for that.
Yeah.
So much. And so I left my mom that day, and I flew to Kansas City because she wasn't, my sister's husband had died 2 years before that. She was alone. And I show up at the hospital, and my dad was kind of a mess at the time. And they take me in to see my sister. I go, who's that? And they go, well,
Couldn't even recognize her?
well, because they had shaved half of her head, right? And they had done a surgery to open up her brain. And and my mom, I know, struggles with that because she didn't get to walk through that because
Yeah.
they wouldn't. My mom still drains from
Yeah.
having a mastectomy.
Yeah.
And they're like, you cannot fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You cannot fly. And so there's this piece of me that I'm so thankful my mom.
Did not see
No.
that. Yeah.
No, because my dad at his age was not processing
Yeah.
well what was going on. And so and I know as a mother, you don't see that because I would have been like, no,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But I'm thankful
Yeah.
that my mom did not see that. So I remember calling my mom and my brothers. I go, guys, we got to let her go. She would not want this. Please help me, support me on this. And of course, all of them, absolutely, 110%. I got the phone. They all said their goodbyes to her. And that was it. That was it. And, you know, my children at the time just dealt with, you know, their mom going through brain surgery. And then there were some other things in life that is their story, and I don't want to share what was going on, but they had some other things happening in their life. and then their mom having brain surgery. Their aunt, who they loved dearly, had a massive stroke and died. Like,
too much for those young little.
Too much. I mean, like,
I don't even know. I'm thinking as a child, I don't even know how they were processing everything.
I know. Well, and you know, I'll be honest, they made some choices that weren't best for them at that time, but that is part of their story, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's also, too, what would anybody else do?
Exactly.
In that
They're
walk?
trying to figure out what to do with these emotions.
Yeah,
So they're
I mean,
trying
if
to
that's
find ways to
trying to find ways,
and
right?
they're here now. They're healthy.
Right.
If that's the worst they
great
did.
Kids. They're great kids.
You know,
Yes.
it may be a
Adults.
teaching. They're always kids to us,
Yeah,
though,
I
right?
know,
30-year-old, they're
right,
always kids.
right.
But and I think that's important for people to hear.
Yeah.
It's okay to process things the way you need to process them.
Right.
Encourage,
Right.
obviously, speaking or
Right.
surrounding yourself
Yep.
around people that are going to walk you through it, like your
Yep.
friends did.
Yep.
But they were definitely going through their own journey.
Yes. So, and what was so crazy is the town that we live in, we do have some great support, right?
Yeah.
But there's always a little, like a tiny less than 1% that don't want the best for you. And I remember my daughter was, working, and she overheard these women kind of chatting about some decisions that one of my kiddos had made, and she wrote her a letter on Facebook and said, I expected more from you, and don't talk about my family. You have no idea what we went through. And I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Calling them out.
Calling
Good
them
for
out.
her.
And here's the deal. That person was probably like, well, they're not so, whatever.
But when
But
you're
maybe
not
it taught them
walking
the
in
power of
someone
words.
I mean, for real.
and
Yeah.
when you're not walking in someone else's shoes,
You have
don't
no
know.
idea.
you can't judge. You
No.
can't judge.
And don't we teach
what's
that every
happening,
day?
you
Like,
know?
unless
Right.
you've walked in my shoes, don't
Right.
judge.
And if you see one of my kids making a mistake, you grab them. You love on them, which
Yeah.
many of
Make
them
it a
did.
teaching
Exactly.
moment.
Right, make it a teaching moment. And
Yeah.
that was a great example for me, and being in education and seeing kids make mistakes every single day and looking at parents and go, that's okay. We're here to love them and guide them through.
Yeah.
Love and guide.
So,
They're not perfect little
100%.
people.
No, they're not.
And neither are we.
yeah. So, in closing,
Okay.
because your story has been just amazing, and I know it's going to walk people through I knew
So many
part of your
lessons.
story,
So many lessons.
but my goodness, girl. I mean, God is still working through you,
He
in you,
is.
even through your teachers, your women that you're ministering to. Like, let's not sweat the small stuff. You're
Let's not sweat
teaching.
it, yeah.
God is not done with you. He is
Yeah.
still working his magic through you, through your children, through your husband. What do you want people to know, Bridgette?
If I could say anything, I want people to know that finding their faith in something more than themselves, like they have to have a faith in Jesus Christ. He is in full power. He does have you. He will walk with you. When he goes silent, it is one of those times that you can either lean more into him and figure out why he's silent, or, figure out the why behind it, but he is never left you. He is always by you. And I want people to know that life is precious, and God has put us here for a reason, and we need to live for him.
Absolutely. And that silence is about allowing us to process.
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
that silence that allows us to stop and think. And that's what's so very important. Several things, making sure that you find doctors that match your personality, that understand you, that give you the kind of care that you deserve. If that's not your doctor, find one.
Yeah.
Don't settle, because that's our right, is to
Right.
keep searching
Right.
for the one that we connect
Right.
with. So that's so important. And most of all, listen to them and do what they say.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? Right.
that's-
right.
Don't wait for it to disfigure you.
Right. Absolutely.
No, but what you said though, it's so true though, because
Yeah.
we all are the
We do put it
the
off. We put
masters
stuff
of,
off
of
all the
pushing
time.
things off,
Yes.
right? Because you got things to do.
I got things to do.
But man, did I just through her
But
story,
life is too precious.
time
Life
after
is too
time after
precious.
time, whether it was her husband, whether it was doctors, whether it
Yes.
was sisters, whatever it was, her kids,
Yes.
they kept
Yes.
telling her.
Call each other out too. If you see somebody doing
Yes.
that,
See something, say
call them
something.
out.
Yeah, say, look,
call
you
them
know.
out.
Yeah.
But thank you so
Love
much for
that
being
so
on the
much.
show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes,
Thank
we're
you.
so excited to have you. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thank you.
If you or anyone you know is struggling with mental health issues, please reach out to talk to someone you trust. Get connected to a mental health professional who can help you find ways to cope and ultimately feel better. If you are having suicidal or self-harm thoughts or thoughts of hurting another person, please go to the nearest ER, call 911, or contact the National Suicide Hotline at 988. Thank you for tuning in to Mental Perk. We hope our talk today highlighted real people working through real issues based on mental health. Our goal at Mental Perk is to make sure every one of you knows you're worthy. We're in this together.